we normally do after games. Coach will make a few comments, and then if you have a question, raise your hand. We'll get a mic to you. Okay, that format was what we put together instead of a spring game, and from my perspective, it allowed us to cover virtually every situation in a game, including some live special teams that, in my time as a head coach, we sometimes don't get. Everybody gets work. It gives us the opportunity to not worry about the depth and who to protect. Everybody gets a chance to get out there and compete. And, I can craft the situations within the game that allows us to get the appropriate work necessary and still, have a pregame timeline and still get them in the game day locker room and still get a routine that mimics in some fashion what it's like to prepare for a game situation. So from that perspective, we've got great film to watch and to evaluate and to continue to work on our players, technical and tactical development. This wasn't a practice for us to go, okay, this is the starting left guard or this is the starting, safety. This was about another step towards, developing our football team and getting us closer to the preparation necessary for when we go into camp, getting us ready for our first game. So that's kind of my opening statements, and then we'll go from there. Yeah, he had an ankle sprain in practice, just precautionary. He doesn't look to be very serious. We kept him in a walking boot today, but nothing like the previous injury where he had the dislocated toes. So hopefully get him back, if not Tuesday, but most likely Thursday of next week.
And just today, at least, the edge rushers seemed really impressive. Just what have you learned about that position group here in the spring?
Which one?
The edge rushers.
Well, you've got mature players that have played a lot of football, and certainly that shows up. And it didn't just show up today for me; it showed up every day in practice. And I will say this: I mean, we were very, I would say, intentional about who we were looking for and the kind of personality. Those guys are great workers. They do it the right way off the field, in this building. They are leaders, even in the sense of how they handle themselves amongst our football team, even though they've only been here since January. So these were really impactful players, not only from an edge standpoint in terms of what you see, but I can tell you from behind the scenes, they're very impactful as well.
Brian, we also didn't see Destin Hill, if you can give an update there. And then Trades looked like maybe he got rolled up. Just an update on how he's doing.
Another ankle with Destin, and it's too bad because he's had a really good spring. Been really impressed with him. His strength is just the ability to go up and get the football. He's strong. He's physical. He's smart. He's really going to help us, and it was too bad that he couldn't be out there today, but he's got an ankle. His is a little bit more severe, high ankle sprain, and we'll have to see where that takes us, whether we can make the next two practices or not with him. Trades was fine. He wanted to stay in there. But it brings the attention to the new rule that will be coming in, and that is, in those kinds of situations, if you go down after the ball is put in play, you're going to be charged a timeout in those situations. So, we've got to be very careful in those situations. If you're hurt, you better go down before they blow the ball ready for play, or you're going to be charged a timeout. So just the thing that we can educate them on in those situations.
Yeah, Coach, just a lot of rotating in and out with this offensive line right now. Just what have you liked about, how those guys have kind of evolved through spring, but also just how close or far away from you in terms of, like, pegging this thing down on the O-line?
Well, I think we've made great progress in building versatility within the group. I I think in one sense we've been clear that the mandate was not to go through the spring and name 5 guys. And so if we went in with that goal, we would not be anywhere near that. But that wasn't the goal. The goal was to get guys in position where we could find out what the best fit was for them individually and for us as a unit, and then as LSU as a football team. So it's been moving guys around and finding where the right fits are, and then we'll go into camp and probably say, all right, through the first 8-9 practices, will give us some time to make the decision on what that unit is, and then build continuity through the back end of preseason camp with the starting 5.
You were talking about today being a lot for development with guys, and Harlem Berry's another guy who's obviously young and getting developed at this stage. What have you seen kind of from him since the last time that you spoke about him? Because I think it was a few weeks ago you had mentioned the steps he had taken forward. What have you seen from him as he kind of maybe battles for the RB2 spot?
He's a natural runner of the football. He sees things that you just don't coach. And the great backs just have that natural, uncanny ability to see things on the move, and you just let it go. He's got to be coached on protections. He's got to be coached on scheme. He's got to be coached on how to eat. He's got to be coached on some other things, and we're doing it, and he's very receptive to that. I didn't mean to imply other, but he's a natural runner of the football, and he's really good, and I think he lives up to the billing of the best running back in the country because of his just natural instincts that he has as a running back.
Do you think he has a real shot to compete for that second running back spot?
He'll play for us as a freshman, yeah.
Coach, nationally, there's been a lot of discussion about playing other teams during spring football after going through this open practice format. Do you have an opinion on that? Would you be open to doing that?
I would be open to it. I think there's, clearly the calendar, dictates a lot of this, right? We work off of an academic calendar, relative to recruiting, relative to different schools being on quarters versus being on semesters. So there's a lot of things that would have to kind of, come together in those situations. But I think what I would say about it is that in years past, it was a dream. I think it's within our grasp now. I think there needs to be some more attention to particular rules that make that difficult. But I think we're on the course towards that happening.
So you would prefer that?
Well, I would prefer if we were to do some things like a game, that we could do some joint practices with, some of our neighbors, in the state of Louisiana.
What does it say about your returning roster that some of the really highly well thought of guys in the portal have not just kind of come in right away and become number one? Although, I know you haven't decided who's number one, but it's like some of your veterans seem to be holding the positions pretty well.
Well, we've developed our players. I think this is partly, you have to have player development along with bringing in guys in the portal. Remember now, the development of this program was that we needed the portal because they needed to come in and play for us. We were so short on scholarship players. That's not a great place to be. So if everybody you bring into the portal has to come in and play for you, I can put a great spin on it and tell you we're going to win the national championship, but I think we all knew that that's not a great place to be. You want to be in a position where you bring in portal players to building off of what you already have. And that's why this roster is the best roster we've had, because we're building both depth within our football team and we're bringing in veteran players. So that mix is the best mix that we've had since I've been here.
Hey, Coach, a constant theme throughout the spring scrimmage was Javian Toviani. It just seemed like he was just all over the place. Either he was making the play or was right right there as the play was happening. Talk about his versatility on the field, and then also how has he improved throughout the spring.
Well, I think he's, look, I mean, we bounced him around a lot. I think he's more comfortable at the position in which he's playing. He's communicating better. The spring has been really good for him. He's had a good spring. But, I think all of our safeties have improved immensely. And look, they're all young, and so, they're all getting a lot more work. Deshaun Spears is getting better. Cooley's getting a lot more work. I just think by virtue of them actually getting time out there, you can see their development. So there's no question that he's been much more visible. He's made a lot more plays for us, but he's been in a consistent position, and that's helped him a lot feel more comfortable, as well as the other safeties as well.
As you try to overhaul this offensive line, what have you seen in the running game in the spring that y'all have worked on?
Well, there's been as you know, a concerted effort to be much more diverse, hit on a broader spectrum from outside zone to gap schemes to inside zone. We're running a lot more misdirection. So it's been a conscious decision that we've made that we needed to be that, as well as direct snap. And I think it just makes us a better offense when you have a much more diversified running game. I think our offensive line is capable of doing all the things that I just mentioned. We got guys that can pull. We got guys that can double team at the point of attack and run traditional duo plays. And I think we can be really good at outside zone. So this was really about, focusing in and being much better at the running game. Look, you can't just say, well, we're going to focus on the running game and forget that we're really talented at wide receiver. But I think we've struck a much better balance in bringing those two together this spring.
Coach DeJuan Johnson, you're running him at quarterback right now, but does he have a skill set that you can do a lot of different things with him on offense, put him in different places?
Yeah, we think we do. I mean, we think that we enhance our red zone package with him. I think you saw a glimpse of that a little bit today. I didn't let you film that purposely. You guys had a hard 11:30 stop for a reason. But I think he enhances what we can do in the red zone. I think he enhances what we can do, at that position in the running game. I mean, it's hard. We saw that last year, right, against teams that ran the quarterback against us. You got to play cover zero. And if you play cover zero against us, Juwan can hit our receivers with the football. So I just think, he's another weapon that we can utilize in a targeted fashion that can help our offense.
We have time for two more. Just a wild day in the SEC for a member school. I don't know if you're aware of that or have any thoughts on that. And what do you, if you do have thoughts on it, do you want to share? What do you do here internally to prevent moments like that?
Well, I think we're in this period of adjustment, right? I mean, I think we've got a settlement that is in the throes of being decided. The House settlement is coming close. That will bring us most likely some form of revenue sharing. I think there's changes coming in NIL. I think this is the first version of corrections, maybe. I think that we're going to see a lot of this. This was a new world, and I think we're going to navigate it the best that we can. But I think that there's going to be other situations that come, and we're just going to have to, do the best we can. I think there's going to be better information out there that will allow people to look at comps for positions and say, that makes sense, that doesn't make sense. And it'll allow us to navigate this a lot more reasonably moving forward, for good or bad. And people can make decisions. If you want to pay X, then that's what you can do. But I think this is the natural course that would happen when there weren't many guidelines out there. And moving forward, I think with the House settlement and, with a, potentially a clearinghouse for NIL, I think we'll see, a better place as we continue to move forward.
Hey, Coach. I'm curious, looking back to your first ever conversation with Garrett Nussmeier to the present day, what stands out to you most about his journey to becoming the prominent leader of this program and just kind of your increased level of trust as he looks to embark on what many consider to be a Heisman campaign potentially?
I'm thinking about it because I'm trying to think about the very first conversation. My very first conversation with Garrett was when I got the job. He came in and said, "Coach, I'm a Tiger, and I just want to let you know I'm going to be here." And that was my first conversation with him, because everybody was, some were staying, some were going. It was kind of, up in the air. I think one left, one came back. It was kind of a, uncertain situation. But he was pretty definitive about, I want to be here. And I think we come full circle, and you see that kind of steadfast commitment to being here at LSU, and I think he's going to reap the benefits of that. Good. Thank you. Appreciate it. I gotta go sign.